Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the news that's come out recently that there's going to be a Black Canary movie on HBO Max. Which that news alone would be very exciting, but I am glad to know that it is going to be Journey's return to the character of Dinah Lance, obviously reprising a role from her portrayal of the character in Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which I think is pretty dope. It is said to be a solo movie, so this isn't a Birds of Prey sequel. It's probably going to be kind of like a Birds of Prey 1.5. It's kind of like, this is slight spoilers, but it's not really any major spoilers, and it really doesn't involve spoilers at all, but I've said this somewhere else, but I think the Suicide Squad did a really nice and interesting thing where it was basically a nice and subtle progression, or rather continuation of Harley's arc from Birds of Prey. So I think we'll get something like that, but just like a full-blown movie rather than be a sequel. I am curious whether, I mean, obviously none of this is out yet, but because the project's still probably a ways away, but I'm curious, are we going to get any like hints to like what Huntress and Montoya are up to? Because at the end of Birds of Prey, obviously they were shown like, you know, working together as Birds of Prey in Gotham. I'm curious, will it stay in Gotham? Or will it expand out? Because obviously because I think that's really nice that they are making it kind of like a sequel, because I was about to say like, well, that was kind of her journey, because she was against the whole, you know, as we know, against the whole superhero thing, because her mother went down that route, her mother died, and they didn't, that's all we really got on it. But I'm assuming this solo movie is going to focus on that past a little bit, her apprehension with the whole superhero mantle, how like she felt like Gotham and the GCPD weren't there for my mom. It's like, yeah, my mom went to do this whole superhero thing, and who was there for her? No one. She kind of died alone. No one was there for her, even though she was there for everyone else. So I'm sure coming to terms with that a little bit was, obviously that was an element of Birds of Prey, but I think we'd probably get even more of that, like probably, especially, well, because Montoya's not working with the GCPD anymore, so, but I'm still curious, like, what the state of the story is. Probably having to come with terms of like, yeah, like yes, it was not my decision, but the whole still kicking a Roman thing probably still leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you probably have to like go through so much. I mean, you're probably dealing with everyone's expectations of you becoming the new Black Canary, which she's like, no, I'm not picking up the mantle after my mom. I'm doing my own thing. Maybe that'd be an interesting thing, but like I said, I'd be so curious to see, you know, both the character's past and its future. Obviously, I'm most familiar with the character through, you know, the Arrowverse shows. Obviously, the different people have taken up the mantle, such as Sarah, Laurel, Dinah, Laurel again. I'm really interested to see, you know, dive into Dinah's past a little bit more. Like I said, her situation, her mom's situation as well. I don't know if they really touched on her dad at all, like whether he's still in the picture, what kind of role that might necessarily play for her story. But I'm excited this is happening. I was reading somewhere that Journey was like, maybe this was something she actually directly said or someone else says, but she did say like she would like her own, like she would like it to be a series, which hey, if they decide, once again, I'm more of a series person than a movie person, but if they're going to give me in this story in the form of a movie, I'm totally there for it. Because it's not like, oh, this is going to be copy and paste from like the Arrow stuff. It's like, no, this Arrow stuff is a very distinct story of Black Canary. Like I said, the different people taking up the mantle. This is probably a little more in line, because typically I think Dinah is a singer. I mean, I know some like iterations of storylines of that kind of lean into that more, about her being a singer and that kind of playing into her whole metahuman ability. I wonder how they're going to handle, like, because they've actually strayed away from the conversation of how metahumans became a thing in this world. They've talked about it a little bit, obviously Barry and Aquaman being like prime examples of it, but like I'm curious, like, well, we know like her getting her powers from her mom, so it's like, how did her mom get her powers? Like how, like that's something they really haven't touched on in the DCEU, so I wonder, would this be one of those films that does touch on it, or is that just going to be answered in one movie and it's just going to cover all across the board about it? Maybe it's just not important enough, but it's just interesting to think about, because I know how metas came to be on, well, at least one Earth in the Arrowverse, well, not the Prime Earth, but yeah, I know because of the particle accelerator, so I'm curious, like, how the whole thing works in the, I mean, maybe, like, once we get to the Flash movie, even though it's a Flashpoint movie, maybe they'll kind of explain that, because I don't even think they ever explained, even in either Justice League or whatever, how Barry got his powers. Like I said, metahumans are established to be a thing, but beyond that, how they came and being. So maybe the movie will dive into that a little bit. I wonder who to be like the main antagonist, because I'm not familiar enough with the character to know like some of her main antagonists from the comics and stuff like that. I'm sure like a lot of her villains overlap with other characters. These are some of my thoughts about what we know so far. I'm sure by the time this video comes out, because it's August 21st at the time we recorded it, so maybe more information will be out before then. I'd love to get to know your thoughts about all of this. Are you excited for a Black Canary movie that kind of serves as a 1.5 sequel to Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn? What are some things you want to see from the movie? What are some things you expect to see? Let me know. Really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good